Thank you so much for taking your time out today to speak with me. I really, 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 really appreciate this. Like for real.
Yeah, absolutely. I known your dad forever. Think the world of him. So
Yeah, and if you think the world of him, I'm like the universe. Okay, I'm like okay, so it's gonna be real quick. I don't want to take too much of your time. I just have a couple of questions, just to get to know. I want to know a little bit more about you, as well as like the type of player that you are pursuing, and then I have some questions, just like little football hot topic questions.
sure.
Okay. So the first question I have is, what made you get into coaching, and how did you get to South Florida?
Yeah. So the coaching piece, I think the most influential people in my life were my coaches, high school coaches, college coaches, and I think the longer I went in it, I really wanted to do what they did in terms of I wanted to. Those guys molded me into who I am, and I wanted to do the same for young people. And I thought that was going to be my way to give back and my way to help change the world in some crazy way. I did.
Okay, what position did you play?
I played linebacker.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
I did ask you that question, but I want to ask you another question. How do you think that you playing linebacker has affected your style of coaching?
Yeah, I think uh, high energy all over the place, but really big picture, like being able to
Mhm.
understand the entirety of what's going on. Like always seeing it from a really, really wide lens
Yeah,
from a schematic standpoint. I think also like I think defensively, your linebackers are your leaders, and
yeah.
they've got to be because they've got to tie the front to the back end, and so I think you're forced to become a leader in some way, and obviously coaching that's what you're doing
Mhm.
is leading a group. So, but I think at the end of the day, and I started out as a high school coach, so
Mhm.
I wanted to coach and teach and help help young people become the best versions of them, just like
Yeah.
my mentors helped me. So that was how I got into coaching because I wanted to be like essentially my high school coach.
Yeah.
Um, how I got here, I was the defensive coordinator at Tennessee before this. I was the geez, I don't even know what I said. I was the offensive coordinator at Tennessee before this,
Mhm.
um, and um, and had an opportunity after a second year. We were really good on offense. We were actually the top offense in the country, and had some
Mhm.
opportunities and picked this one for a lot of reasons.
Okay, so if I'm a player or a parent, why should I choose South Florida?
Yeah, South Florida specifically. There's a lot of reasons. I
Mhm.
think first, um, what we built here is a program that's based on trust, based on love, based on relationships. Um, I think the biggest thing here that you get is location, location. Life after football.
Mhm.
The 4 years you're here, you got the most beautiful beaches in the entire country right down the road. You're in one of the fastest growing up and coming cities in the entire country. You've got an incredible diverse population. You've got some of the best food scene in the U.S. You got an incredible music scene. Like it is a really really cool place to be. And then from a life after football, there's a reason why there's a bunch of retired pros that live here. Obviously, the weather is incredible, but opportunity from a real estate standpoint, from a financial market standpoint, this place is blown up. So I think being here for 4 years is awesome. Life after football is awesome. From an academic side, this is a top 45 public school in the entire country. I think education wise, you get what you want. So, from a football program standpoint, what the culture you're walking into is elite. I don't know if I could have said that 2 years ago when we got here, but we've certainly built it
Yeah.
that way. And then from a academic side to life after football, it's the complete package.
I really think like it's showing. It's very obvious that you care a lot about the players off the field as well, and you're trying to help cultivate that through whether you like you're talking about real estate, whatever the case may be. You want to prepare those guys for greatness outside of football, which I want to applaud you for because a lot of these boys don't know who they are outside of football. They've been playing this since they were 4 or 5 years old. So I think that's super important that you're looking at, like you look at this program not just for what it can do for them football wise, but outside of football. So that being said, what type of player are you looking for off the field?
Yeah, we're looking for guys that truly are about the right things. And the right things are a love for football, a love for relationship, a love for doing something beyond just the game. So you want guys that are well-rounded. And by well-rounded, I don't mean that they all come from the same place or they all have the same background. I think you got to fall in love with the player in terms of what you see on film. That's the first thing. But when you talk to guys, when you really get to know the core, who they are, you want guys that, I always tell our staff, you want guys that are poor, hungry, desperate. And that doesn't mean financially poor. It means they work like they are. It doesn't mean they're literally hungry, but they work like they are. And desperate to go be elite at everything they do. So you want self-driven guys. And I think the coolest thing about coaching is you get to bring in guys from all over the place, and especially coaching at this level. And you try in this day and age, which is harder and harder because there's other things involved now.
Yeah.
Besides just school and ball, you're trying to get these guys to come together and work towards a purpose, something bigger than themselves. And so poor, hungry, desperate dudes that are coming from winning programs. You want guys that have won, that know what it takes to win. And I think the last piece of it that I think maybe doesn't get talked about enough is you want guys that are coming from programs where the high school coaches push them. The high school coach is so important in the development of these guys that if you bring a guy in from a high school program where their coach was soft on them, let them do whatever they want, that's going to be their expectation. It's going to be really hard to change. And so when you combine all of that, you're trying to bring in 105 guys that are all poor, hungry, and desperate that come from winning programs that were coached really hard in high school.
Like, I'm really glad that you mentioned high school because my next question was about the rising debate between 7-on-7 and track in the off season. As a college coach, which one do you think is more beneficial for these athletes?
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think either. I think guys that are competing and finding ways to compete all the time, those are the guys you want. I think track is really, really good, especially for skill kids.
Yeah.
Because I think the only way you get faster is to train to be fast and to run. And when you're running against other fast people, you tend to run faster.
Yeah.
So I think that's really important. I think guys that are doing 7-on-7, they're competing every weekend. And what 7-on-7's become on a national level is you're going and competing against the best players around the entire country. And so I think as long as you're competing, I'm good. I don't think it really matters. But you want guys that are competing year round. It's really when you talk to a guy and it's like, man, what are you doing right now? It's like, well, I'm just kind of like working out, hanging with the boys.
Yeah.
Like, man, that's like, man, why aren't you doing something else? You better have a good reason.
Weightlifting, 7-on-7, track, whatever, just keeping active. And, that's definitely important. So my next question is going to be, do you have any advice for kids on how to get recruited with the rise of the transfer portal? A lot of kids I've spoken to at the high schools, they're a little bit nervous because a lot of kids now, a lot of programs are pulling more out of that transfer portal. How do you think high school kids can increase their visibility and increase their chances of getting recruited?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is the film doesn't lie. I think the junior year for these guys is so important. I think guys think, man, it's my sophomore year. I'm telling you, it's the junior year so important. There's kids that are getting offered as sophomores, and then you get to the junior film and don't look right, and the offers don't really exist anymore.
Yeah.
I think that it starts with the film. Like if the film's real, you're going to have a chance. I think the other thing is, and probably even most importantly, is you got to have as few question marks as you can on you. It's you're now recruiting out of two pots. You've always recruited high school, you've recruited junior college. Now there's this other pot of, man, if I can't find what I like here, I'm gonna go here. And you have to mitigate risk in our positions. I've said that before. Like, you start with this giant list, you narrow it down, and all you're doing is crossing guys off a list. Very rarely do you grow the list. You're crossing off more than you're growing, and so you're mitigating risk. Like, and risk includes academic issues, off the field character issues, accountability issues. And so when you walk into a school, you're looking for, man, like, I'm trying to get guys off the list. I may walk into school X with 3 guys I need to see, and I'm trying to get it down to 1 or none, like, because then I'm going to the next spot. And so you're trying to mitigate risk, and that includes when you meet a young guy, like, his ability to communicate, his ability to how he carries himself, like perception is reality in a lot of ways. And so you don't have to stand out by doing anything crazy. You got to have real film, and you got to be a good human. Because now if you aren't, then that coach is just going to go to the portal.
Wow, I think that's so important. I'm studying broadcast journalism, so like one of the main things that we focus on is marketability and like just like a brand. And I think what a lot of people don't realize is your brand isn't just on social media. Like, my name is Aja Wasim. I go by Aja, but at my school, I'm Wasim. And Wasim is very friendly. She's nice. She speaks to everybody because I have a brand that I want to uphold. And if I have something like this now where I have this interviews, I want people to want to watch this because they had a good experience with me in person. If I'm nasty, if I'm rude, then even if I have the best video in the world, they're gonna be like, I don't want to watch that. She had me messed up the other day. And I say all that to say it can be the same with a lot of athletes. Sometimes, again, they tweak the football thing and it's fine-tuned, but themselves is not as fine-tuned. And I don't think a lot of young boys understand how important it is to be marketable, regardless if it's social media and branding or just being marketable to a coach. So I really am glad that you hit on those points. And I hope that these young athletes who are watching this, they take this and they really take it into consideration. I really want to thank you again for taking the time out because I don't want to take too much of your time. But yeah, again, thank you. And I hope you have a blessed day.
I appreciate it, Aja. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you. Bye, guys.